We are living in times when we're surrounded by lies everywhere we turn, because we're engaged in one of the most elaborate psychological manipulations that has ever been unleashed on mankind. Actually, it's been happening for decades, and the war for control of our minds has been brutal and often inhumane, as we saw with the COVID-19 attack. The extensive corruption involving the theft of the people's money is being revealed, but few still realize that the dark ones took more than money from us. They surreptitiously took our health, our minds, and our families and loved ones, all under the protection of governance that we foolishly handed to corrupt individuals that truly don't have one thought about the welfare of the people they serve. They use common warfare techniques disguised as well-planned narratives that tell us that what we are seeing isn't real. They spin the circumstances of events. They create fake evidence, and they accuse their opponents of the very crimes that they are engaged in. This particular tactic is called projection, or mirroring. And it's my hope that understanding the PSYOP will help you recognize it so that the lies become more readily apparent to you. Projection or mirroring is a psychological defense mechanism where individuals blame their own thoughts, emotions, or behaviors to someone else. In psychological warfare, projection is weaponized to manipulate, control, or destabilize targets, whether individuals, groups, or entire populations. By accusing others of their own flaws or misdeeds, bad actors deflect accountability, sow confusion, and undermine their opponent's credibility. This tactic is particularly effective in high-stakes contexts like political campaigns, propaganda, or interpersonal manipulation, where shaping perceptions is key. Understanding projection's mechanics and applications is crucial for recognizing and countering its use in psychological warfare. The psychology behind projection, well, it actually originates from the need to protect the ego from uncomfortable truths. When someone feels guilt, shame, or fear about their own actions or traits, they may subconsciously or deliberately attribute those qualities to others. For example, a corrupt official might accuse their critics of corruption to avoid scrutiny. In psychological warfare, this is done strategically to exploit human biases, such as the tendency to assume accusations have some basis in truth. By framing their target as the problem, the projector shifts focus from their own wrongdoing and creates a narrative that serves their agenda. In psychological warfare, projection is used to manipulate perceptions and control narratives. It's a form of misdirection, where the aggressor accuses their target of behaviors or intentions they themselves exhibit. For instance, a government engaging in censorship might accuse its opponents of suppressing free speech, creating a false equivalence that muddies public discourse. This tactic is effective because it exploits emotional vulnerabilities, triggers defensiveness, and distracts from the original issue. Projection can be deployed in interpersonal conflicts, organizational power struggles, or large-scale propaganda campaigns, making it versatile and insidious. When it comes to tactical applications, projection is often used for deflection and blame shifting. It's a way to evade accountability. In political warfare, a leader accused of misconduct might claim their accusers are guilty of worse offenses, redirecting attention. For example, during a scandal, a politician might accuse the media of fabricating lies, even if they themselves are spreading misinformation. Gaslighting is another application. By accusing targets of their own flaws, projectors can make victims doubt their reality. In abusive relationships or authoritarian regimes, this erodes confidence and silences opposition. Projection also discredits opponents by undermining their credibility. A corporation accused of unethical practices might label whistleblowers as greedy opportunists, casting doubt on their motives. Creating confusion is yet another tactic. By accusing others of similar wrongs, projectors create a he said, she said dynamic, making it really hard for observers to discern the truth. This is common in disinformation campaigns, where conflicting narratives stall judgment. Finally, projection can mobilize support by framing the projector as a victim. In propaganda, a group might accuse its enemies of aggression to justify its own hostile actions, galvanizing public support. In modern psychological warfare, projection is really amplified through social media platforms. Propagandists use projection to shape public opinion by accusing opponents of their own tactics. For example, a regime engaging in election interference might accuse another country of rigging votes, which diverts attention from its own actions. Posts on social media sites often reveal this tactic in real time, where public figures or bots flood discussions with accusations that mirror their own behavior, creating chaos and polarization. This kind of thing overwhelms audiences, making it harder to separate fact from fiction. Case studies and examples really highlight just how powerful projection can be. Throughout history, and certainly today, we see this tactic at work. During the Cold War, both the United States and the Soviet Union accused each other of imperialist ambitions, all while they were actually pursuing their own expansionist policies. More recently, political figures might accuse their opponents of spreading fake news, even as they themselves are distributing misinformation. And, in more everyday situations, a manipulative coworker could accuse a colleague of being uncooperative, just to cover up their own lack of teamwork. These cases show how projection can exploit trust, distort reality, and shift blame, whether it's happening between two people or on a much larger scale. So, recognizing projection is really the first step if you want to counter it. You'll want to look for patterns where accusations seem to mirror the accuser's own behavior, especially when the evidence just doesn't support their claims. It's absolutely critical to stay grounded in facts. Verify information through reliable sources, and try to avoid those emotional reactions that projectors love to exploit. Publicly exposing projection can help neutralize it, but you need to be tactful to avoid making the conflict worse. In today's media-heavy environment, even fact-checking platforms have been weaponized, and the development of critical thinking skills is crucial to help individuals and groups protect themselves from the effects of projection. While mirroring or projection can be a powerful tool in psychological warfare, using it brings up some serious ethical concerns. Intentionally deploying projection to harm or manipulate others is deceptive and it erodes trust. But it's not just the targets who are at risk. Bad actors who overuse projection can end up looking paranoid or untrustworthy themselves, and if undeniable evidence comes to light, their tactics might be exposed, leading to backlash. This is what we are seeing today. The Democratic actors doth protest too much, and their scripted drama is evident. For those trying to defend against projection, the challenge is to counter it without resorting to the same deceptive tactics, since that would just keep the cycle of mistrust going. Ethical responses should really focus on transparency, evidence, and accountability, instead of just throwing accusations back. And if you've been watching, witnesses such as Kash Patel and Pam Bondi are experts at doing just that. Projection is, without a doubt, a potent weapon in psychological warfare, using human psychology to manipulate, deflect, and control. By attributing their own flaws to others, bad actors can create confusion, discredit their opponents, and maintain their power. What makes projection so effective is its ability to exploit emotional vulnerabilities and shape narratives, especially in environments that are saturated with media. But, by recognizing the patterns of projection, staying focused on evidence, and promoting critical thinking, individuals and societies can absolutely reduce its impact. Understanding this tactic really helps us navigate the complex landscape of psychological warfare with clarity and resilience. So keep your heads up and your eyes and ears carefully tuned to the narrative being presented. Soon you will be able to spot the deception that is being used, as the deep state are fighting for their last breath.